Introduction: The threshold of the hologram. Imagine that you are standing in the exact center of an infinite hallway. The air around you is gelid, dense, and an absolute thermodynamic silence crushes your ears. There are no windows. There is no natural light. In front of you, extending into the unexplored darkness of your own psyche, there is no clear path, but 10 heavy steel doors. They are hermetically sealed. The floor beneath your feet vibrates slightly with the stagnant energy of all your postponed decisions. Observe them well. Feel the cold of the metal from a distance. Do you believe this hallway is a punishment? Do you still believe, with the ignorance of your biological mind, that the universe has denied you? Do you think it denied you the power, the capital, and the absolute sovereignty that you beg for daily? Look at your hands. Are you willing to admit, once and for all, that you yourself forged the locks on each of these doors? Human biomass adores victimhood. They adore the illusion that there is a cruel destiny or a ruthless economy. They blame an external enemy for blocking their progress. But here, at the threshold of the hologram, excuses disintegrate. These 10 steel doors are not physical barriers imposed by a distant god. They are electromagnetic friction codes in your own mind. They are the maximum security vaults that your biological ego built to protect you. It protected you from your own creative immensity. You are terrified of the pure and lethal light of conscious matter, and that is why you preferred to lock yourself in the suffocating comfort of mediocrity. Do you realize the three-dimensional farce in which you live? The universe of complaint, waiting, and kinetic wear no longer serves you. Every door you see in front of you represents a thermal leak, an obsolete program that is draining your quantum bandwidth in this very millisecond. Behind those locks, there are no real monsters. Behind them are your holographic fears, your excuses, your putrid personal history, and your pathetic need for social validation and external praise. To reach mastery of the unified field, it is not enough to read theories or passively desire a vibratory change. The spirituality of inaction is for weak organisms. Are you ready to approach the first door? Imagine taking the first step. Feel the monstrous weight of your own resistance trying to stop you from moving forward into the void. Your biology will scream at you to turn around, to return to the herd, to the safe world of the visible 5% where everyone suffers equally. You cannot go back. The simulation has already fractured before your eyes. Do you have the thermodynamic coldness necessary to reach out, grab the frozen steel knob, enter the room, and face the vacuum? Understand the mandate of this moment. You are not going to open these doors to learn something. You are going to open them to murder, one by one, every geometric illusion that has kept you kneeling. Breathe deeply. The hallway of probabilities is waiting. Are you going to turn the knob and reclaim your throne or die of entropy? Chapter 1. The Door of Fire, Losing Fear. The steel knob and the biology of panic. Imagine yourself standing in front of the first door. The steel is heavy, matte, and impassive. You haven't even raised your hand yet, but you already feel your pulse quickening, don't you? You feel that slight layer of cold sweat on your palms. Why does your biological body react to a door that you haven't even touched yet? Look at yourself. You are about to face the hologram, but your central nervous system is already emitting the signals of a cornered mammal. Are you going to allow a handful of cheap chemical reactions to dictate your cosmic destiny? Fear is not a mystical entity, nor is it a curse. It is a thermal leak designed to keep you trapped in the 5% of reality. It is cortisol and adrenaline flooding your bloodstream, sending a direct order to your cells. Flee. Stay safe. Stay in mediocrity where the ego takes no risks. Are you going to obey that slave chemistry? Imagine raising your hand. Imagine grabbing the steel knob. It is freezing, but your fingers are trembling with primitive terror. What are you so terrified of? Failure, financial ruin, losing the miserable identity you have built to please the biomass. Turn the knob once and for all. Do not wait for the fear to vanish, for it is a ghost that feeds on your hesitation. Break the static and force the mechanism of the simulation to yield to your grip. The thermodynamic flame, the holographic fire, you push the heavy steel leaf and the room opens before you. Imagine the visual violence of the impact. There is no floor, There are no walls, only an absolute hell of roaring fire. The flames rise to the ceiling, blocking any exit. The orange and red light blinds your retinas. The roar of the fire deafens your ears. Your primary instinct screams at you to step back. Your muscles tense. Your reptilian brain calculates the distance to escape. Are you going to take a step back and close the door? Are you going to return to the cold, dark hallway of infinite, but never realized probabilities? Human biomass always retreats here. They run to take refuge in their mediocre jobs, in their toxic relationships, and in their thermodynamic excuses, convinced that the fire would have incinerated them. But you have to realize the trap. Imagine standing on the threshold, observing the flames with squinted eyes. Observe the dynamics of the fire. Do you notice something strange? You feel the terror. You see the light. You hear the roar. But do you feel the heat? Lean your face closer. Why aren't your eyebrows burning? Why aren't you suffocating from the lack of oxygen? Because this fire is a three-dimensional farce. It is a hologram designed by your mind. It is a projection designed with terrifying precision by your own subconscious mind. It is thermodynamically null. It has no mass, it emits no infrared radiation, and it consumes no oxygen. It is an optical illusion projected by your own ego to prevent you from accessing the control room of the unified field. Are you going to allow a simple projection of light to keep you kneeling? The fire is the representation of your own resistance to power. It is the visual noise of your limitations. If you accept the heat as real, you remain a prisoner. If you recognize the light as a hollow frequency, you become the master. The archive of your cowardices. Imagine staring at the tongues of fire. Observe how each flare takes a specific shape. That pillar of fire to your left? Doesn't it look like your fear of extreme poverty? That curtain of flames in front of you? Is it not perhaps the terror of being judged, humiliated, and rejected by your family and society? Every atom of this holographic fire is fed by your own dissipated energy. You are the fuel for this room. Every time you doubted yourself, every time you begged for external validation, every time you chose comfort over domination, you injected 1,000,000 volts into this fire. How long will you continue to finance your paralysis? Do you understand that fear is an electromagnetic parasite? When you get scared in the face of a financial crisis, an illness, or an enemy, you are dissipating thermal energy into the vacuum. You are heating the atmosphere with your stress, exhausting the battery you should use to materialize your will. Fear does not protect you from danger. It turns you into an inefficient emotional radiator, an easy target for the entropy of the outside world. It creates a signature of vulnerability in the field. To extinguish the fire, you must stop being the wood that feeds it. You must reclaim your voltage from the flames. Cooling the engine, the gelid immobility. You cannot put out this fire by blowing. You cannot put it out by running. You cannot put it out by reasoning with it. How do you annihilate a holographic flame that feeds on your own reaction? Imagine standing in front of the fire. Close your eyes. You have to cut the power supply. You must execute gelid immobility. Feel the tachycardia in your chest and impose an absolute dictatorship over your physiology. Imagine forcing your breathing to slow down with mathematical slowness, inhaling and exhaling as if you were blowing through a needle. Force your heart to slow its beats. Turn off the secretion of cortisol in your blood. Demand that your cells stop vibrating at the frequency of the prey. Do you feel how your body temperature drops? You are cooling your engine. You are becoming thermodynamically indifferent to the external stimulus. It no longer matters if the flames consume you, because your identity is not made of burnable meat. You have assimilated that the quantum operator is pure frequency. Open your eyes again. Imagine looking at the hell in front of you, but now your gaze is aseptic, cold, and void of emotion. You are no longer a scared mammal in front of a fire. You are the immense blackness of the space void observing a spark. The step of disintegration. The moment of pragmatic collapse has arrived. You cannot stay on the threshold forever. You have to cross. Imagine lifting your right foot. You feel how all the alarms of your biology go off simultaneously. Your brain screams, death, but your quantum will advances. You lower your foot and plant it inside the fire. What do you feel? There is no pain. There is no combustion. Imagine taking a second step, submerging your entire body inside the hell. The fire licks your face, your arms, your chest, but it is only light passing through your auric field. You feel a majestic cold, a gelid and lethal peace. You are walking through the greatest lie of the three-dimensional ashboard. Imagine moving toward the center of the room. With each step you take without altering your pulse, the flames begin to flicker. The fire feeds on fear. Finding no friction in your nervous system, the fire suffocates. It has no fuel left. Watch it crumble. Imagine how the furious red turns pale blue, then white, until suddenly the entire fire collapses upon itself and disintegrates into a stardust that falls harmlessly to the ground. You have starved the illusion by refusing to acknowledge its heat. You have won the first battle of the field. The transmutation, the sovereign of the fire. The room is dark. The silence is total. Imagine standing in the center of the room. You have just annihilated fear, not with cheap psychology, not with positive affirmations and crystal smiles, but through thermodynamic superiority. You have empirically demonstrated to matter that you are the source code. You have proven that your biological projections have no gravitational mass over you. Look at your hands. Do you feel the voltage that just returned to your system? All the quantum energy that was previously hijacked in the form of terror has now condensed in your core. You have regained your operational power. Fear is not a stone wall, it is a door of smoke, and you have just walked through it. Imagine turning around, leaving the dark room behind you, knowing that the biology of panic has been uninstalled forever. There is no longer fire that can burn you, because you realized you were the one lighting the match. Advance. The hallway continues. 9 doors remain. Do you have the courage to turn the next knob? The path is wider now, for you no longer carry the weight of your own cowardice. The air in the hallway feels lighter, more conductive, as your field expands to occupy the space vacated by the ghost of fear. The persistence of the new baseline. To have crossed the fire once is a triumph, but to maintain the gelid state is the true mastery. Your biology will try to reinstall the old software of fear at the first sign of a new 3D challenge. You must be the guardian of your own frequency. Every time the shadow of worry appears, remember the coldness of the flames. The sage does not fight the fear, he out-vibrates it. He maintains a baseline of such high density that the frequencies of panic cannot find a point of resonance. You are now a frequency inhabitant of a higher order. Your cells have tasted the peace of the void, and they no longer crave the heat of the drama. This new baseline is your shield. It allows you to observe the fluctuations of the market, the threats of the competition, and the decay of the biomass without losing a single volt. You have achieved the first layer of invulnerability. You are a cold singularity moving through a world of entropic friction. The decoupling from the mammalian program. The mammalian program is designed to keep you in the middle of the herd, reacting to the same stimuli as everyone else. By crossing the fire, you have decoupled from this program. You have declared your independence from the evolutionary heritage of terror. This is the first step toward the post-human sovereignty. You are no longer an animal, you are a conscious architect. Your nervous system is no longer a reactive machine, but a command console. This decoupling is what allows you to see the glitches in the matrix. Where others see a wall of fire, you see a mathematical pattern of light that can be bypassed. This clarity of vision is your most precious asset. It allows you to navigate the 3D board with the precision of a master player who knows that the pieces are only as real as he allows them to be. You have mastered the element of fire by becoming the cold that it cannot penetrate. You are the master of the first door. The sovereignty of the cold will. Cold will is the only force that can command the quantum field. Heat is the sign of a system losing control. Cold is the sign of a system in perfect order. By transmuting your fear into gelid certainty, you have aligned yourself with the 0-point field. Your will is now a laser that cuts through the static. This sovereignty means that you no longer ask for permission from your circumstances. You do not wait for the right time or the safety net. You move because you have decided to move. The fire was the ultimate test of your authority. By walking through it, You have validated your own command over the hologram. The universe now recognizes you as a primary observer who cannot be intimidated by light and sound. You have reclaimed the energy that was once used to keep you small, and you have added it to your gravitational mass. You are denser, colder, and more powerful than you were a few minutes ago. The gateway to the higher frequencies. The room of fire was the filter. Only those who can look past the visual violence of the illusion are permitted to see the next layers of the simulation. By conquering fear, you have earned the right to face the more subtle and complex locks of your own mind. The doors ahead are not about brute terror. They are about the refinement of your intent and the dissolution of your limitations. You have proven you can handle the heat of the ego's projections. Now, you must prove you can handle the silence of the higher domains. The 33-node antenna is vibrating with a new clarity as you move toward the second door. Your journey is accelerating. The friction of the world is no longer a wall, but a background noise that you choose to ignore. You are the architect of the field, and the first layer of the veil has been torn. The throne is waiting, but the path demands total impeccability. Walk toward the second knob with cold grace. Chapter 2. The door of the mirror, defeating yourself. The cold of the second threshold. You have just emerged from the door of fire. Your biological mind is still processing that hell was not real, but there is no time for mediocre celebrations. The hallway of probabilities allows you no rest. Imagine moving a few meters through the gelid darkness until you stop in front of the second door. This one is not matte steel. Its surface is polished, reflective, and almost liquid to the eye. You feel a discomfort much deeper and more visceral than the primary panic of the first room. The fire threatened your body, but this door threatens something much more sacred to human biomass, your precious identity. Will you turn the knob, or do you prefer to turn back? Do you prefer to keep believing the lie that you are an evolved being, trapped in an unjust world? Imagine reaching out your arm. You feel the cold of the knob in the palm of your hand. You turn it with violence. You enter. The door slams shut behind you, sealing the room into a vacuum. You are now alone with your own reflection. The glass prison, the hologram of the ego. Imagine standing in the exact center of an immense hall, illuminated by a clinical, white and ruthless light. There are no walls, no ceiling, no floor. Everything, absolutely everything, is clad in perfect and seamless mirrors. Wherever you turn your head, you encounter a million reflections of yourself, extending into infinity. At first, your ego swells. You try to straighten your posture. You search the glass for the image of the great architect, the quantum operator, the supreme and sovereign being you believe yourself to be when you recite your decrees of abundance in the comfort of your room. But look closely. Imagine approaching the main mirror. The clinical light does not lie. The quantum universe accepts no filters. The reflection the glass returns to you is not your greatness. It is your most pathetic version. Look at yourself. What do you see? Imagine seeing in the glass that frightened mammal who complains when the economy fluctuates. Observe that resentful individual. Look at the one who blames their parents for their lack of capital. Look at that tiny, dense being begging for a like, an applause, or the approval of a social environment that operates from absolute ignorance. The mirror is vomiting back at you the version of yourself that you actually project onto the 3D ashboard every single day. Does the image hurt? Do you feel the rejection in your stomach? That nausea is the physical proof that you are still in love with your own poison. You are addicted to the mask you wear to hide your perceived inadequacy from the world. But here, the mask is transparent, and the truth of your internal fragmentation is laid bare. The friction of identity, bleeding energy. Why do you continue to defend that reflection? Imagine yourself in your daily life arguing with a stranger on the internet, taking offense because someone did not recognize your effort, or becoming bitter because 3D reality did not treat you with justice. Do you understand what you are doing in those moments at a thermodynamic level? Imagine that your biological body is a nuclear reactor designed to collapse massive probability waves. Every time you feel the need to be right, every time you defend your self-importance, you are opening a fissure in the reactor. You are generating friction. You are dissipating your voltage in the form of residual heat. The mirror shows you a human being bleeding quantum energy from every pore, exhausted, emptied, trying to sustain a mask of "I am someone" before a universe to which your name is cosmically irrelevant. The ego is not a personality trait, it is a thermal leak. It is the aerodynamic resistance that prevents you from flowing. While you continue to believe that you are that glass person, with that personal history of traumas, failures, and petty longings, you will remain dense matter, heavy and subject to the law of gravity of the lower world. You are anchoring yourself to the ground with the weight of your own self-definition. You must become light. The judgment of reflections, analysis paralysis. Imagine that the millions of reflections around you begin to speak to you. They are echoes of your own mental chatter. One reflection reminds you of last month's debt. Another whispers that you do not have enough talent. One more tells you to relax, that spirituality is passive and that you should not strive. It is deafening. It is the stridency of your analytical mind trying to keep you paralyzed in the contemplation of yourself. The human biomass enters this room and stays to live in it. They sit in front of the mirror to analyze their traumas, to embrace their wounded inner child, trying to polish the glass and make the reflection acceptable. They spend entire decades in holographic therapy, trying to repair an identity that is, by pure quantum definition, a lie. Are you also going to try to dialogue with the glass? Are you going to lose years of absolute power, trying to fix the mammal instead of annihilating it? You cannot fix a shadow. You can only turn on the light. Understand the source code. You cannot alter the hologram by manipulating the projection. If you do not like the movie, you do not scratch the cinema screen. You go to the booth and change the film. The reflection in the mirror is the consequence, not the cause. While your attention is fixed on improving yourself, you fail. You are validating the illusion that you are broken. By focusing on the fix, you are commanding the field to maintain the state of being broken so that you can continue your task. It is a recursive loop of self-sabotage that drains your voltage and keeps you trapped in the hallway of the unmanifested. Aseptic indifference toward the abyss. How do you defeat a room that reflects each of your insecurities? Imagine holding your breath for a second. Let the millions of reflections keep screaming. Let the panic of being a fraud try to bite your nervous system. And now, execute the greatest act of spiritual violence conceivable. Apply aseptic indifference. Imagine completely turning off emotional interest in yourself. Who cares about your personal history? What thermodynamic relevance does your past pain have in the present millisecond? None. Zero. Imagine dropping, all at once, the entire weight of your biography. Feel the density of your body evaporate as you let go. You cease to be the victim of your narrative to become the empty space that observes that narrative. Look at yourself in the main glass one last time. You no longer feel anger toward your weakness, nor pity, nor attachment. You observe it with the same clinical coldness as a scientist observing a petri dish. You have detached your primary consciousness from the biological shell that transports it. You have realized that the true creator has no face, no name, and no past. You are the silent observer, the one who exists before the reflection is even possible. In this realization, the power of the mirror over you is severed. Ballistic impact, breaking the simulation. The time has come to purge the room. You are not going to negotiate with the ego. You are going to destroy the server where it is hosted. Imagine clenching your right fist. Feel the condensation of all the energy that you have stopped dissipating in useless complaints. Your fist is no longer flesh and bone. It is an engine. It is a ram of hyperdense conscious matter, charged with the electromagnetic voltage of the zero-point field. You lift your arm. There is no rage in your movement. There is no hate. There is perfect mathematics, an unnegotiable ballistic decision. Imagine throwing the blow directly against the center of the main mirror. Aim right at the face of your old self. The impact is brutal. Imagine the thundering sound of the glass shattering into 1,000 pieces. As the main mirror breaks, the quantum shockwave propagates. The millions of mirrors around you begin to crack and collapse simultaneously in a deafening chain reaction. It is the sound of your excuses, of your biological limits, and of your false identities being reduced to thermodynamic dust. Feel the shards of glass falling around you like a rain of ice. They do not cut you because your auric field is now impenetrable. You are standing in the center of absolute destruction, the acoustics of nothingness. The noise ceases. The clinical light goes out. Imagine yourself in the midst of the total darkness of the now empty room. Beneath your shoes, only the remains of the mammal you used to be Crunch. What is left of you now that there are no mirrors to tell you who you are? Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when you don't have to defend a position, when there is not a single atom of ego absorbing your vital energy? You are the void. You are the pure observer. You have reached the state of superfluidity. By not having a rigid identity with which to clash against the world, you have eliminated friction. You have eliminated 90% of the friction in your life. From this millisecond on, 3D society will not be able to offend you, the market will not be able to intimidate you, and the collective egregore will not be able to drag you simply because you no longer offer a solid surface against which they can rub. You are translucent. You are lethal. Imagine shaking the glass dust off your shoulders. You turn on your heels toward the exit. The door opens to the infinite hallway. You have murdered the most dangerous enemy of all creation. Exit the room. 8 doors remain. The cosmic clock is waiting for the next step. The geometry of the new vacuum. The emptiness you feel now is not a lack. It is a supreme calibration. In the absence of the self, the field can finally use you as a clear channel for high-voltage manifestation. You have cleared the motherboard of your psyche from the corrosive rust of self-importance. You are now a superconductor of intent. This new geometry allows you to perceive reality without the distortion of your old desires and fears. You see the world as a configuration of frequencies, not as a collection of obstacles. Your internal space has become an anechoic chamber where the only signal is your sovereign will. This is the foundation of power. Without an ego to defend, you can make decisions with the gelid precision of an algorithm. You no longer care if a move makes you look good or look bad to the biomass. You only care if the move is mathematically aligned with your empire. Your efficiency has increased by an order of magnitude, eradicating the ghost of validity. As you walk back into the hallway, you will notice that the silence is different. It is no longer the silence of suppression, but the silence of authority. You no longer need to check your internal mirror to see if you are doing the right thing. The need for internal or external validation has been uninstalled. The ghost of validity was the shackle that kept you in the mirror room. By breaking the mirrors, you have destroyed the mechanism of comparison. You are now incomparable. You are a singular point of consciousness that does not need a reference to know its own value. You are the value itself. This state of being makes you a gravitational anomaly. People will look for the mirror in you, trying to find their own reflection or to see yours, but they will find only the abyss. They will find a clarity that is both terrifying and attractive. You are the observer, and you have reclaimed the gaze. The birth of the post-human architect. You have transitioned from being a creature of the hologram to being an architect of the field. The mirror room was the second filter, designed to trap those who are still seduced by their own story. By emerging as nobody, you have earned the right to become anybody the mission requires. You can now adopt any persona, any mask, and any frequency necessary to achieve your goals, without ever becoming attached to them. They are tools in your belt, not chains on your soul. You are the programmer who can change his avatar at will. This is the ultimate flexibility of the sovereign mind. The third door is already visible in the distance. It vibrates with a different intensity, a frequency that challenges your concept of time and causality. But you are ready. You carry no mirrors, no baggage, and no history. You are pure, cold, and focused light moving through the vacuum. Chapter 3. The Door of the Clocks. The Murder of Time. The stridency of waiting. You have just annihilated your own ego in the room of mirrors, but the hallway of probabilities grants you no truce. Imagine advancing through the aseptic darkness. As you approach the third steel door, a sound begins to leak through the dense metal. It is a mechanical hum, a rhythmic tapping, sharp and constant. Tick-tock, tick-tock. It is the sound of entropy. It is the sound of your biological life consuming itself while you wait for the universe to give you permission to govern. Imagine putting your hand on the knob. This door physically vibrates with the urgency of 1 billion mammals terrified of death. Are you going to enter, or are you going to stay in the hallway? Are you going to stay there calculating how many years you have left to be ready? Turn the knob with violence. Enter and face the most dictatorial hologram on the ashboard. Break the illusion of the calendar and the clock, for they are the primary chains of the biomass. Step into the chamber where time itself is the enemy to be executed. The chamber of chronology, the linear fraud. Imagine the scene as you cross the threshold. The room is immense and the noise is absolutely deafening. There is no quantum silence here. The walls, the ceiling and the floor are upholstered with millions of clocks. There are giant pendulums oscillating frantically, hourglasses where grayish dust falls, and digital timers flashing red. There are metronomes marking a chaotic and unbearable rhythm. Feel how the noise hits your chest. Does this stridency feel familiar to you? It is the physical representation of your own analytical mind. Look at yourself. Observe yourself, standing in the middle of this chronological chaos. Why do you still wait for your empire? Why do you wait for the unified field to deliver your empire in a distant future? Every time you say, "Someday I will be free, soon I will have the capital, I am working to achieve it," you are winding these clocks. You are validating the greatest lie of the visible 5%, the illusion of linear time. It is a biological shackle. The ordinary man, the gaseous biomass, perceives reality as a straight line. They believe success is a point on the horizon toward which they must walk, sweating and suffering for decades. And do you know what the quantum universe does when you emit that waiting frequency? It obeys you. The universe obeys your geometric order. It keeps you in a perpetual state of waiting. The finish line recedes at exactly the same speed at which you advance. How long are you going to be the donkey chasing the holographic carrot? Stop the movement. Recognize that later is a thermodynamic leak that prevents the collapse of your sovereign will into the present matter. The quantum Zeno effect, the gravity of anxiety. Imagine approaching one of the largest pendulums. Observe how its metal blade cuts the air from side to side. That pendulum is your anxiety. What do you do when you conjure a new reality, a new level of wealth, or a new strategic alliance? You despair to see the results. You open your 3D eyes and check your bank account daily. You calculate the probabilities. You ask yourself, why is it not arriving? When is it going to happen? What am I doing wrong? In quantum physics, there is a phenomenon called the Zeno effect. It dictates that a quantum system cannot change state while it is being continuously observed and measured. It freezes. By obsessively monitoring the when of your manifestation, you are freezing the probability wave. You are emitting a gravity of need so dense and suffocating that dark matter has no room to reorganize. Your need for temporal validation is murdering your creation before it is born. Imagine yourself radiating that cheap anxiety. You are dissipating megawatts of vital energy simply by not having the coldness to trust the physics of your own gravity. Doesn't it give you thermodynamic disgust to realize that you yourself are slowing down the capital and the power? It is your inability to tolerate the silence of cosmic gestation that holds you back. The abandonment of hope, extirpating the poison. To survive in this room, you have to commit an act of cruelty against your biological mind. You have to renounce hope. Does the word scare you? Society has taught you that hope is a sacred virtue. A lie. Imagine shouting in this room full of clocks that you have hope that things will improve. It is the consolation of the weak. When you hope for something to happen, you are vibrationally admitting that there is a possibility it will not occur. You are emitting a bifurcated electromagnetic wave, fractured by doubt. The quantum operator does not hope, the operator remembers. Since the past, present, and future exist simultaneously, your empire exists. The empire you demand already exists in the static space-time block. It already has mass. It already has coordinates. Imagine closing your eyes in the middle of the deafening noise of the pendulums. Instead of wishing for your success, remember it. Hack your central nervous system. Force your glands to secrete the endorphins. Force them to release the oxytocin and the gelid dopamine of the victory already consummated. If your physical body can secrete cortisol when remembering a trauma from 10 years ago, proving your cells do not distinguish between past and present, use it. Convince your DNA that absolute sovereignty is a memory. Gelid immobility, the collapse of the chronometer. The time has come to execute the singularity. You cannot flee this room by covering your ears. You have to master the time machine. Imagine planting your feet in the center of the room. Feel the thermal oscillation of all the pendulums trying to unbalance your auric field. The 3D world demands you run and hurry. It demands you compete because time is money. Disobey. Imagine reaching a state of absolute gelid immobility. Your breathing becomes almost imperceptible. Your heart beats at an aseptic and calculated rhythm. Your analytical mind shuts down completely. You have ceased to be a time traveler to become the axis. You are the central axis upon which time orbits. You situate yourself in the absolute domain of the eternal now. What does it matter what happened yesterday? It is dead matter. What does it matter what will happen tomorrow? It is an echo that has not yet collapsed. The only point where you have authority is this millisecond. Imagine projecting this power-laden immobility into the room. You do not beg, you do not make kinetic effort. You simply radiate the mathematical certainty that you are the supreme gravitational force. You are so massive, so dense, and so sure of your cosmic position that the local universe cannot bear the friction. Observe what happens. Imagine how suddenly one pendulum begins to lose speed, then another. The hourglasses slow the fall of the dust. The digital timers begin to flicker and freeze. Feel how the atmospheric pressure of the room changes dramatically. The deafening noise becomes a hum, then a whisper, until it stops. In a brutal demonstration of your quantum sovereignty, every clock, every pendulum, and every gear in the room stops completely in the air. You have frozen the gears of the simulation by becoming the absolute center of gravity. The machines of the 3D matrix have no power over a mind that refuses to fluctuate. The domain of the eternal now, absolute silence reigns in the room. The pendulums are suspended at impossible angles, defying three-dimensional gravity. Imagine walking among the frozen clocks. You have just murdered the illusion of linear time. You have empirically proven that the urgency of the biomass is a corrupt and entropic code. By collapsing the distance between desire and result, you force matter to restructure in the absolute present. You are no longer waiting for your empire. You are occupying its physical and electromagnetic space right now. Feel the coldness of your own power. You have ceased to be a victim of the calendar. Look at your hands. They are no longer tied to the latency of the simulation. They are the hands of the architect who writes the present. Imagine walking toward the exit of the room. You open the door and return to the infinite hallway of probabilities. The third test has been annihilated by your gelid presence. The clock of the universe has stopped exclusively for you. 7 doors remain. Do you have the brutality necessary to face the next one? Or are you going to wind up your mediocrity again? Advance. The path is silent now, for you have silenced the ticks of fear and the tocs of the unmanifested. The eradication of biological latency. Time is the measurement of the brain's inability to process the whole simultaneously. By stopping the clocks, you have uninstalled the biological latency that made you wait for your life to start. You are now operating at the speed of light, where time dilation means you are everywhere at once. This is the end of the process. The biomass loves the process because it gives them something to do while they avoid the responsibility of being gods. You, however, have bypassed the process. You have jumped straight to the result by declaring the result as a current fact in your nervous system. The physical world will now ripple outward from this moment of stillness. Like a stone thrown into a pond, your sovereign now will create waves of events that align with your memory of the future. You don't have to wait for the ripples to reach the shore. You are the stone, and you are the pond. The sovereignty over the 4th dimension. You have transitioned from being a 3-dimensional mammal to being a 4-dimensional operator. Time is no longer a river that sweeps you away. It is a landscape that you inhabit. You can walk back and forth through your experiences, selecting the frequencies that serve your imperial design. This sovereignty means that deadlines and aging are no longer laws for you. They are merely suggestions of the matrix that you can choose to ignore. Your cells no longer count the years, they count the volts. As long as your voltage remains high and your focus remains on the now, your biological decay stops. You are the master of the interval. In the space between 2 seconds, you can build entire worlds. You have mastered the acoustics of the moment, and the silence you have created is the most powerful tool in your belt. The clocks are dead, and you are finally, eternally, alive and awake. The architecture of the instantaneous collapse. As you move toward the 4th door, you carry this stillness with you. Every step is a decree. You no longer walk toward the next door, you bring the next door to you. You have understood that distance is also an illusion of time. If there is no time, there is no space to cross. This realization makes your manifestation instantaneous. You think, you feel, and you see the matter obey. This is the level of impeccable focus required for the doors to come. The room of clocks was the filter for the impatient. Having mastered it, you are ready to face the raw nature of the abyss. Your 33-node antenna is now a vertical axis of timelessness. You are a biological singularity in the middle of a world of watches. The biomass will look at you and wonder why you are not aging, why you are not rushing, and why you are always in the right place. You will not answer. You will just reign. Chapter 4. The Door of Masks. Disconnecting the crowd. The threshold of the collective parasite. You have just paralyzed time. You left the clocks frozen in the previous room, but the hallway of probabilities does not allow you to savor the victory. Imagine advancing through the gelid darkness, feeling how your gravitational mass has increased. You stop in front of the 4th door. This time the steel is not cold or mechanical. The material of this door seems porous, almost organic, and is covered by a thin layer of electromagnetic static. Before touching the knob, listen to it. Imagine bringing your ear close to the metal. You feel a constant murmur, a buzz of 1,000 overlapping voices complaining, crying, demanding, and judging. It is the noise. It is the background noise of the human biomass. It is the frequency of the herd. Do your hands sweat? Do you feel the primitive instinct of your mammalian brain seeking the approval of that whispering crowd? Biology programmed you to believe that exile from the tribe means death. Will you allow that prehistoric software to dictate? Will you let it dictate the coordinates of your empire? Imagine reaching out your arm, grabbing the static-charged knob, and throwing the door open. Enter. Face the most massive parasite of the 3-dimensional ashboard. Break the link to the collective mind and claim your individual frequency back from the noise of others. The auditorium of mannequins, the false tribe. Imagine crossing the threshold. You find yourself in a gigantic auditorium, submerged in an oppressive gloom. You are not alone. Around you, filling every seat, every aisle, and every corner, there are thousands of grey plastic mannequins. They have no face, they have no identity of their own, but they are all turned to you. Every single one has its head turned toward you. The murmur is now deafening. Imagine walking slowly among them. Listen to what they whisper to you. A mannequin to your left tells you that your ambition is selfish. Another to your right warns you that the economy is collapsing and that you should settle for surviving. A group in front of you murmurs about your failures, demanding that you apologize, that you be humble, that you bow your head so as not to offend them with your brightness. Do you recognize these voices? It is the social egregore. It is the quantum entity formed by collective fear and the need for control in modern society. Look at yourself in the middle of this auditorium. Why do you care what these faceless pieces of plastic think? Why do you keep designing your life to beg for validation from a crowd that operates from absolute scarcity? Every time you lower your frequency to fit in, you are feeding these mannequins with your gold. Sympathetic resonance, environment infection. Stop in the middle of the aisle. Imagine a mannequin reaching out its grey arm and brushing your shoulder. Feel the electric shock. Do you feel how your frequency drops suddenly? That is the law of sympathetic resonance. In acoustic physics, if you vibrate a tuning fork, an inert fork nearby will be forced to match it. You are that biological tuning fork. How do you expect to sustain the gelid immobility of the quantum operator if you spend your time surrounded by biomass that vibrates in panic, complaint, and resentment? Imagine absorbing the heaviness of this room. If you argue with them, you are generating thermal friction. You are tangling your electrons with theirs. By trying to save the crowd devours you. The egregore does not want to be saved. It wants you to share its thermal misery so it can feed on you. How long will you play the martyr? Empathy, as understood by the 5%, is a corrupt code that duplicates suffering. The Faraday cage, auric shielding. To cross this room and come out unscathed, you cannot fight thousands of mannequins physically. You cannot scream them into silence. You must become electromagnetically invisible to them. You must build your own Faraday cage. Imagine closing your eyes in the middle of the deafening murmur. The crowd presses you. The voices demand that you react. But you are going to execute aseptic indifference. Imagine retracting all the energy you had projected outward. Withdraw your emotional tentacles from society. Withdraw your need to be loved, understood, or admired. Feel that energy returning to your center of gravity and densifying. Imagine visualizing a geometric mesh of cold, lethal light wrapping your physical body at a distance of 1 meter. It is your vacuum shield. In electromagnetic engineering, a Faraday cage blocks any external interference. No radio signal, no pulse of entropy can penetrate it. You are now an isolated system of power. Geometric contempt, walking among ghosts. Now that you are shielded, you must advance. The exit door is at the other end of the auditorium, just behind the densest block of the crowd. Imagine taking the first step. You do not walk with reactive arrogance, because arrogance is just the ego trying to prove it is superior. You walk with geometric contempt. It is the gelid certainty that these mannequins are empty projections of a hologram that no longer belongs to you. Imagine advancing directly toward the mass of plastic. You do not deviate. You do not ask permission. You do not alter your quantum course to dodge their glass sensibilities. Mathematics now rules. As you approach, wrapped in your Faraday cage and operating from the singularity of the present, the crowd begins to crack. Feel your own cosmic gravity. You are so dense, you vibrate at such a high frequency that the inert matter of the mannequins cannot withstand the atmospheric pressure of your presence. Imagine that as you step closer, the mannequins in front of you begin to melt. The gray plastic dissolves. The egregore disintegrates due to lack of friction. Finding no surface of fear or need in you to adhere to, the collective parasite dies of starvation before your own eyes. You are the predator of ghosts. The sovereignty of cosmic exile. Imagine crossing the auditorium. Each step you take opens an abyss of pure silence. The voices die out. The criticisms vanish into the vacuum. You have crossed the ocean of biomass without a single drop of its entropy managing to wet your suit. You reach the door at the back. You stop for a millisecond. Imagine looking over your shoulder. The huge hall is empty. There are no mannequins. There are no voices. Only the silent architecture of your own aseptic mind remains. Do you understand now the price of absolute power? Mastery of the unified field demands cosmic exile. It demands that you walk alone. It demands that you accept with a lethal thermodynamic peace that the quantum operator walks alone. You are no longer a citizen of the herd. You are the sovereign of your own dimension. Look at your hand. The exit knob is waiting. Imagine turning it firmly. You return to the dark hallway of probabilities. The fourth illusion has been annihilated. You have freed yourself from the gravity of the mass. 6 doors remain, and your electromagnetic mass is becoming more and more terrifying. Advance. There is no turning back. The silence of your own sovereignty is the only music that will accompany you from now on. The eradication of the social mirror. By destroying the mannequins, you have uninstalled the social mirror. For years, you defined your value by the reflections you saw in the eyes of others. This made your frequency unstable as it depended on the fluctuating moods of the biomass. Now, you have no mirror other than your own results and internal geometry. The others are now merely data points in your field, not judges. This liberation allows you to execute moves on the 3D board that were previously unthinkable. You no longer fear looking bad or being misunderstood. You operate with the coldness of a strategist who knows that the pieces don't need to like the move. This state of social invisibility is your greatest tactical advantage. While the biomass is busy reacting to each other, you are busy restructuring the atoms of your reality. You are a ghost in their machine, but you are the master of yours. The social bond has been replaced by your own sovereign integrity, the mass of the individual singular point. Your isolation has not made you weak, it has made you dense. In the vacuum of the auditorium, your energy had nowhere to go but inward. You have condensed your volts into a singular point of high pressure. This is the spiritual mass required to move large amounts of material resources in the hologram. The ordinary man is like a gas, spread thin by his many social connections. He has no gravity because he has no center. You, by cutting those connections, have become a solid. You are a heavy element in the universal table. The more you disconnect from the collective noise, the more the field bows to you. This density is what will allow you to open the next doors. The challenges ahead require a mind that cannot be shaken by external storms. You have proven that you can stand in a room full of screaming voices and remain silent. You have graduated from the school of mammalian survival to the Academy of Gods, the architecture of the sovereign sanctuary. As you walk the hallway, your auric shield remains active. You realize that you no longer want to go back to the public square. You have developed a biological intolerance for low frequencies. Your dimension feng now includes the energetic quality of the people you allow into your immediate vicinity. You are the gatekeeper of your own field. If a human being does not possess their own center of gravity, if they are still a mannequin, they cannot enter your orbit. This is not hatred. It is thermodynamic hygiene. You preserve your voltage for high-level collapses, not for entertaining the entropic. The fifth door is visible. It hums with a different kind of power, the power of capital and the dense matter of wealth. But you are ready. You are a sovereign exile, a singular point of light, and you carry the silence of the auditorium as your scepter. Turn the next knob with the cold grace of a king. Chapter 5. The door of the labyrinth in ruins, ordering matter. The threshold of physical friction. You have just annihilated the crowd and left behind the auditorium of mannequins. The hallway of probabilities envelops you again with its gelid silence. Imagine advancing toward the fifth door. Look at it carefully before touching it. This door does not have the aseptic coldness of perfect steel. It is rusty, stained, and twisted on its hinges. Its geometry is an insult to thermodynamics. Do you feel the heaviness in the environment? Do you feel how the air becomes dense, almost suffocating as you approach? That is the radiation of entropy. It is the smell of abandoned matter. Imagine grabbing the rough knob and pushing hard. The door scrapes against the floor, emitting a screech. Are you going to enter, or will you keep pretending that the physical world does not matter because you are a very spiritual being? Cross the threshold at once. Face the dump of your own mind. Understand that your outer world is a hard drive reflecting your inner state. To ignore the physical is to ignore the hardware of your own reality. Geometric chaos, the dump of your consciousness. Imagine stumbling violently just as you take the first step. You fall to your knees. You stand up and observe the room. It is a collapsed labyrinth. Look at it well. Imagine being surrounded by narrow corridors formed by towers of useless objects, old papers, broken furniture, clothes you don't wear, tangled cables, and dust accumulated. Walking through here hurts. Every step requires an exhausting calculation. You tear your clothes on sharp edges. The air smells of stagnation. Does this room feel familiar? Imagine that this place is the exact physical manifestation of your own home, your office, your desk, and your car. It is the external drive of your hologram. Look at yourself standing in the middle of this geometric trash. How do you have the absolute nerve to demand that the unified field deliver millions in liquidity, high-performance alliances, and absolute power when you are not even capable of keeping your own living space free of entropy? You are asking for high voltage on rusty wires. Do you really believe the quantum universe will download a reality of the highest voltage into hardware as oxidized and putrid as this? The human biomass meditates for 20 minutes, visualizing abundance, and then opens their eyes in a room that screams scarcity and abandonment. Who do you think you are fooling with such dissonance? The heresy of gaseous mysticism. Why do you tolerate this disorder? Imagine your biological ego whispering the favorite lie of the mediocre. Outer order does not matter. What matters is my interior. I flow with the chaos. False. You are a thermodynamic coward. Imagine uprooting that cheap philosophy. In the physics of the universe, there is no division. The division between inner and outer is an optical hallucination of your mammalian brain. The universe is a continuous fractal tissue. Your physical environment is not an inert container where you store your body. Your environment is the acoustic extension of your own mind. It is your second skin, your primary interface. Do you understand the gravity of this? Imagine looking at that pile of old papers and past debts lying in the corner of the labyrinth. It is not just paper. It is a node of friction. It is anchored to your electromagnetic field through an invisible thread of quantum information. Every time you walk here, your system must process it. Your nervous system, even if you don't realize it, has to calculate and dodge that pile of trash. You are dissipating megawatts of your vital energy simply to exist within your own space. You are burning the exact fuel you need to materialize your empire. How long will you keep financing entropy with the battery of your life? The chisel of quantum feng shui, the relentless purge. To traverse this labyrinth, you cannot simply order it by moving trash from one corner to another. You cannot hide entropy under the holographic rug. You have to annihilate it. Imagine that your hands are no longer flesh. They have become the mathematical chisel of quantum feng shui. True feng shui is the eradication of resistance. It is the science of war applied to three-dimensional matter. Imagine moving through the first corridor of the labyrinth. Look at that tower of objects representing attachments to the past, gifts from people who no longer resonate with you, and broken tools. Do you have the gelid detachment to destroy them right now? Imagine raising your hand and disintegrating that tower with a single thought of aseptic indifference. Do you feel the thermal release? By removing that useless matter from your spatial coordinate, you stop the energy leak. You recover bandwidth. Keep walking. Imagine devastating every useless obstacle in your path. Incinerate the clothes of the weak mammal you used to be. Pulverize the furniture that blocks the flow of your 3D energy. Destroy the corrupt symmetry. You are not cleaning a room, you are executing a quantum purge, sterilizing the motherboard of your existence so the universe knows you mean business. You are reclaiming the field. The intentional void, building the superconductor. As you advance by destroying the trash, the labyrinth begins to widen. Light begins to enter. The heavy and stagnant air dissipates, replaced by a majestic and oxygenating cold. Imagine standing in an area of the room that you have just emptied completely. There is nothing, only pure geometry, clean walls, and perfect angles. There is an immense empty space. Human biomass is terrified of the void. As soon as they see a free space, they run to fill it with more stupid objects to anesthetize their anxiety. But you are the absolute operator. Can you endure the immensity of the empty space without feeling the biological need to contaminate it? Imagine feeling the acoustics of this intentional void. In solid-state physics, for electricity to travel without losing energy through friction, you need a superconductor. To create one, you must reduce the temperature and maintain impeccable order. This is what you have just done with your physical environment. You have transformed the labyrinth into an anechoic chamber. Imagine how suddenly vital energy, ki, dark matter, prana, begins to flow through this empty space. It no longer hits dirty corners. It no longer wears itself out processing debris. It flows with a perfect aerodynamic ferocity converging in your chest. Geographic sovereignty, the throne of matter. Look at yourself now. Imagine standing in the center of the room that was once a labyrinth in ruins. Now it is a hall of hypergeometric design, pristine and impeccable, where every ray of light and every molecule of oxygen is calibrated to pay you homage. You have just subdued matter. You have proven you are the architect. You have proven that you are not only the king of your invisible thoughts, but the brutal architect of your physical reality. You have sent a non-negotiable thermodynamic mandate to the unified field. My ecosystem is high frequency. Chaos has no jurisdiction here. Download the wealth. I am structurally prepared. Imagine walking without finding a single obstacle toward the exit door at the back of the hall. Your steps resonate with the authority of one who dominates 3D space. You open the door with a single movement. You step out again into the gelid hallway of probabilities. The fifth illusion has been pulverized by your will. You have become the master of geometric order. 5 doors remain in this infinite hallway. Your gravitational mass continues to increase, becoming unbearable for the mediocrity of the simulation. Breathe the acoustics of your own greatness. The air is cold, clear, and carries the scent of upcoming triumphs. Advance. The thermodynamics of the ordered desktop. To maintain this state of sovereignty, you must apply the laws of the labyrinth to every micro-coordinate of your life. Start with your desktop. An ordered desktop is not a matter of aesthetics. It is a matter of thermal efficiency. Every stray object on your workspace is a distraction that pulls at your electromagnetic field. When your workspace is a void of absolute precision, your mind mirrors that state. The speed of your thought increases because the external resistance has been removed. You become a high-speed processor. The biomass spends half their time looking for things. You spend your time commanding things to manifest. This discipline extends to your digital environment. Your files, your emails, and your applications must be subjected to the same purge. If a bit of data does not serve your empire, it is noise. Delete it. Sterilize your digital hardware until it vibrates in phase with your new geometric order. Total mastery is required. The eradication of residual attachments. Every object in your old labyrinth was tied to a memory of who you used to be. By destroying those objects, you have committed an act of biological time travel. You have severed the anchors that kept you tied to your past failures and limitations. You are now a being without a history, a pure forward-moving vector. The sage knows that matter carries memory. If you sleep in a bed that witnessed your periods of depression or lack, the atoms of that bed are programmed to reinforce those states. You must overwrite that memory with the fire of your intention or replace the matter entirely. Do not negotiate with the past. By clearing your space, you have cleared your DNA. The epigenetic signals coming from an orderly environment tell your cells that the war is over and the reign has begun. Your biology responds by increasing its repair rate and its voltage. You are physically becoming the man who deserves the empire you visualize. The resonance of the sovereign sanctuary. Your home is now a sovereign sanctuary. It is a reality bubble where the laws of the collective biomass do not apply. Outside, the world may be in chaos, but inside your walls, there is only the acoustics of the void and the pressure of your will. This sanctuary is your laboratory for higher-level collapses. Anyone who enters your space will feel the weight of your geometry. They will find themselves unable to complain or be mediocre because the environment does not provide the friction necessary for those states. You have created a field of influence that subdues the entropy of others through pure spatial resonance. This is the hidden power of architecture. You are not just a tenant, you are the guardian of the frequency. Your ordered space is the physical anchor for your 33-node antenna. It provides the stability needed for your field to reach its maximum amplitude. The motherboard is clean, and the voltage is rising. The final step into physical impeccability. The door of the labyrinth was the test of your pragmatism. You have passed from mysticism to engineering. You have understood that to rule the spirit, you must first rule the stone. Your hands have been stained with the dust of the old world, but your field is now as clear as a diamond in the dark. The 6th door is already calling. It hums with a frequency of high-resolution information and the power of the word. You carry the vacuum of the labyrinth as your shield. You move with the silence of a predator who has no obstacles to avoid. Your path is straight, your vision is sharp, and your power is real. You are the master of the void and the sovereign of the material. The simulation has lost its power to clutter your mind because you have refused to let it clutter your sight. Walk toward the sixth knob with the gelid confidence of an architect who has just finished building his own foundation. The game is yours. Chapter 6. The Door of Chains, the Death of the Past. The Threshold of Rusted Iron. You have just annihilated physical entropy in the previous room. You have ordered the matter around you, but the hallway of probabilities allows you no rest. Imagine advancing through the gelid darkness until you stop in front of the sixth door. This is not polished steel or transparent glass. It is made of black, massive iron. It is covered in rust and a disgusting dampness. It smells of dried blood, of old sweat, of stagnant time. Before touching the knob, do you feel how the gravity around you becomes crushing? Your shoulders are heavy. Your knees tremble. Where does this extreme density come from? It comes from everything you refuse to let die. Imagine placing your hands on the cold iron. This door does not turn smoothly. You have to push it with the full weight of your body. The metal scrapes against the floor, emitting an agonizing screech like a prehistoric scream. Are you going to enter and face the museum of your failures, or will you turn around? Will you keep believing that your past justifies your pathetic lack of results in the present? Enter once and for all. Face the corpse you carry on your back. Break the seal of your own history and confront the terminal software of your biography. This is the moment of reckoning for the memories that anchor your potential. The electromagnetic corpse, the weight of victimhood. Imagine taking the first step inside the room and immediately falling to your knees. The impact against the stone floor cuts your breath. You try to get up, but a brutal weight pulls you down. Look at yourself. Imagine observing your ankles, your wrists, and your waist. You are wrapped in heavy chains of solid iron. They are anchored deeply in the cracks of the floor. Each link is the size of your fist. Lean closer to one of those links. Imagine reading what is engraved on the dark metal. There is the name of the person who betrayed you 5 years ago. Look at this other link. It bears the failure of your first business. That one further away has the memory of your childhood embedded in it. The lack of affection, the social rejection, the fear your parents injected into you. Do you like dragging your own electromagnetic corpse through the world? Imagine the human biomass entering this room. They sit on the floor, embrace their chains, and cry. They do therapy for decades to understand why the iron is so heavy. They believe their traumas make them special, deep, or interesting. Who do you think you are fooling? Your personal history is not a trophy. It is a disgusting thermal leak. How do you have the cynicism to demand the speed of absolute wealth? How do you ask for quantum power when you are determined to drag 3 tons of rusted iron? Don't you realize the 3D universe cannot accelerate you because you have become an anchor of entropy? You are the source of your own resistance, a biological system holding onto the friction of a timeline that no longer exists. The thermodynamics of resentment, financing entropy. Try to walk. Imagine pulling at the chains with all your strength. The muscles in your back burn. Your hands bleed from the friction. The noise of the iron dragging across the stone floor is deafening. Why do you keep pulling? Resentment is not a noble feeling, nor a demonstration that you have a memory. In the physics of the quantum operator, resentment is the worst thermodynamic business imaginable. Imagine what you do when you remember someone who hurt you or relive a past humiliation. You are taking your pure, vital energy, extracted from the zero-point field in this exact millisecond, and injecting it. You are injecting it into a dead probability wave. You are financing an expired hologram. The past does not exist. It is inert matter. It is an acoustic echo that has already lost its gravitational mass. The only reason your trauma is still alive in the present is because you connect the cable of your own battery. You do this every day upon waking. You are the one who resurrects the ghost. How long will you allow a ghost to steal the volts you need to build your corporate empire and your absolute sovereignty? Every thought directed at what was is a theft from what could be. You are sabotaging your own future voltage. The false executioner and the efficiency of forgiveness. Imagine stopping, exhausted, in the middle of the room. You are still tied. Turn your head back, following the line of the heavy chains to see what they are moored to in the darkness. Do you expect to see the monster of your past holding the other end? Do you expect to see your ex-partner or the economy? Do you expect to see your parents pulling at you? Look closely. Imagine the darkness dissipating and you discover the most humiliating truth in the universe. There is no one holding the chain. The anchors in the floor are loose. The only reason the iron hurts you is because you are holding it with both hands. This is where you must execute the most violent purge of your spiritual evolution. You have to forgive. But beware. Do not be mistaken by the language of the biomass. Imagine erasing the moral definition of forgiveness. You will not forgive others because you are a being of light or because you want to be good. You will not do it to be morally superior. You are going to forgive out of pure, aseptic, and gelid thermodynamic efficiency. Forgiveness is the ballistic act of letting go of the iron. It is cutting the power supply to the database of your biological ego. Are you ready to let your precious victim identity die? Are you ready to assume the terrifying responsibility of being the supreme creator? To forgive is to declare the debt cancelled so that you can reclaim your own energy. It is an act of sovereign selfishness, a calculated move to recover the megawatts you have been wasting on a shadow that has no power over you. The extinction of biography, quantum dust. Imagine closing your eyes. Feel the cold of the iron on your skin. Feel the hate, the regret, the nostalgia for what could have been. Now, apply aseptic indifference over your entire personal history. Execute the mandate. Imagine opening your hands. Slowly, your fingers let go of the links. You release the grip. You withdraw your attention. You withdraw your electromagnetic flow. You do not deny your past. You simply withdraw your gravitational mass from it. You declare, with an immobility that freezes the blood, that your biography has just become extinct. You are no longer the man who suffered. You are the one who is. Open your eyes and observe what happens to matter when the observer withdraws his energy. Imagine looking at the heavy chains of black iron. Without your resentment to hold them together at an atomic level, the metal begins to tremble. The rust accelerates at a terrifying speed. It is a molecular collapse. Feel how the shackles on your ankles and wrists crack. In a matter of seconds, the 3 tons of trauma, failure, and biological memory collapse upon themselves. Imagine the iron disintegrating completely, falling to the stone floor as a thin layer of harmless quantum dust. The weight is gone. The past is ash. The flight of the superfluid. Feel your body. Imagine the biomechanical sensation of the millisecond after. You do not weigh anything. 3-dimensional gravity seems to have lost jurisdiction over your cells. You have just annihilated your personal history. By having no past to account to, your reptilian brain stops calculating non-existent threats. You are no longer the sum of your mistakes. You are a blank sheet of paper, sharp at the edges, charged with the atomic voltage of the eternal now. You have transmuted into an electromagnetic superfluid, capable of crossing the ashboard without generating a single ohm of resistance. You are now aerodynamically perfect. Imagine looking up. The exit door is outlined in the gloom. You walk toward it and your steps emit no sound. You no longer drag chains. You slide your pure will. You are moving with the lightness of an observer who has understood that the only reality is the one being created in this very moment of presence. You grab the exit knob and open the door. You step out again into the hallway of probabilities. The air feels lighter, but your density as a black hole of manifestation is now overwhelming. The 6th illusion has been purged. 4 doors remain. You have killed your past. You are ready to face scarcity. Advance. The erasure of the causal loop. By letting go of the iron, you have broken the causal loop that forced you to repeat the same patterns of behavior. Most humans are merely biological echoes of their previous day. They think the same thoughts because they are attached to the same chains. You have achieved a state of total temporal discontinuity. This discontinuity is your greatest asset. Without the weight of the past, your intentions are no longer filtered through what is possible based on your history. You can now command the field to organize reality into entirely new configurations. You are no longer a reaction, You are an original action in the universe. The field recognizes the absence of historical noise in your signature. Your commands are now crisp, clear, and high resolution. They do not carry the heat of old regrets or the friction of previous failures. You are a clean transmitter, and the universe responds to this purity with instantaneous materialization. The sovereignty of the tabula rasa. The state of tabula rasa is the throne of the architect. To be nobody with no past is to have the power to be anyone with any future. You have reclaimed the right to rewrite your own code from scratch every morning. You are the editor of your own existence, deleting the lines of code that cause friction. This sovereignty means that no one in the 3D world can use your past against you. You have already burned that bridge. Their attempts to remind you of your debts or mistakes are met with the gelid indifference of someone who is meeting them for the first time. You are untouchable because you are unreachable, as you have moved from being a product of time to being the master of time. The door of chains was the test of your courage to let go of the familiar pain. Having passed it, you have acquired the mass of a being who exists only by choice. You are a self-generated singularity, a point of pure potentiality, the alchemy of the rusted memory. The quantum dust on the floor of the room is the raw material for your new empire. You have transmuted the lead of your trauma into the gold of your presence. This alchemy is permanent. You can never again be enslaved by a memory, for you have seen the chains dissolve into nothingness at the command of your will. This realization infuses your field with a new kind of authority. You walk with the quiet confidence of someone who has stared at his own shadows and told them to vanish. Your 33-node antenna is now vibrating with a frequency of total liberation. You are the sovereign of your own chronology. The seventh door is already humming in the distance. It is the door of scarcity, where the illusion of not enough will try to bait your biological instincts. But you carry no chains of lack from your past. You are a blank, powerful, and gelid vector. Turn the next knob with the absolute certainty of the architect. The final severance from the lineage. In the silence of the hallway, you realize that you have also cut the chains of your lineage. You are no longer carrying the unfulfilled dreams of your ancestors or the fears of your bloodline. You have performed a surgical strike on your own epigenetics, freeing your descendants from the weight of the iron. You are the first of a new species, an organism that operates without the drag of time. Your freedom is a gift to the field, a high-frequency node that provides a blueprint for others to follow. But you do not wait for them. You move forward. The hallway is short now, as your speed has increased tenfold. The door of chains was the last great anchor. Now you are a projectile of pure intent. The ashboard of the world is waiting for your imprint, and you have no memories to hold you back from making it as deep as you desire. The game has changed because the player has finally shed his skin. The biological reset of the nervous system. As the iron dust settles, your nervous system experiences a complete recalibration. For years, your synapses were firing in response to ancient threats, keeping your biology in a state of chronic alarm. By releasing the chains, you have deactivated the sympathetic overdrive of the mammalian brain. You are now in a state of homeostatic sovereignty. Your heart rate variability increases, your cortisol levels drop to zero, and your cells begin to repair the damage caused by years of emotional friction. You are physically regenerating because you have stopped the self-inflicted radiation of your own resentment. This physiological reset is the prerequisite for the higher-level manifestations. A body that is carrying the past is a body that is dying. A body that exists only in the now is a body that is immortal. You have aligned your biology with the timeless nature of the field. You are now ready to hold the gold. The geometric purity of the present intent. Without the distortion of past memories, your intent reaches the field with geometric purity. Most human desires are crooked, bent by the gravity of their own insecurities and historical baggage. Your intent is now a straight line, a vector of absolute precision that cuts through the noise of the matrix. The field cannot refuse a pure command. When you ask for wealth, you are not asking as a poor person who wants to be rich. You are asking as the creator who commands the reorganization of atoms. This distinction is the key to the pragmatic collapse. You have moved from the prayer of the victim to the decree of the king. As you step toward the seventh door, feel the weightlessness of your being. You are the silence in the middle of the storm. You are the void that the universe rushes to fill. The chains are gone, the past is dead, and the future is yours to write on the blank slate of the eternal present. Chapter 7. The Door of the Scale, Annihilating Scarcity. The Threshold of Copper and Financial Panic. You have just decapitated your personal history. You released the iron chains in the previous room and now walk through the dark hallway like a superfluid, frictionless, without a past. But the three-dimensional hologram has a denser trap prepared for you. Imagine stopping in front of the seventh door. This is not just any door. It is a circular vault of armored steel, identical to a central bank safe, but the metal is strangely cold and covered in a patina of greenish rust. It smells of old copper. It smells of cold sweat, sleepless nights, overdue bills, and the silent desperation of millions of mammals terrified of survival. Do you feel your stomach contract? That is the electromagnetic signature of your own scarcity. It is the biological panic of running out of resources in a 3D ashboard that has conditioned you to believe you are minuscule. Imagine reaching out your hand. You grab the immense steel wheel of the vault. You have to turn it with violence to unlock the bolts. Are you going to enter to face your financial misery, or will you turn around and keep reciting empty affirmations of abundance while your bank account remains a monument to your cosmic impotence? Turn the wheel. Enter the chamber of poverty. Break the seal of the not enough and face the terminal software of lack. The slave's vault, the calculation of misery. Imagine the visual violence as you cross the threshold. You enter an immense spherical vault, illuminated by a grey and deathly light. There are no mountains of gold here. There is no luxury. It is absolutely empty, except for one object in the exact center of the room, a gigantic scale of black iron, rusty and unbalanced. Approach it. Imagine yourself projected in this room. Look at yourself well. You are standing in front of the scale, dressed in the ragged energy of your daily worries. I see you putting copper coins in one of the pans of the scale. You put a coin that represents your time, another that represents physical effort, another represents your stress. And then you look terrified at the other pan, the pan of payments, of inflation, of debt, of the cost of your own existence. It always weighs more. You are always lacking. Do you recognize yourself in that image? How long will you keep playing this pathetic game of 3D scarcity? Imagine observing yourself while you make petty mathematical calculations, trying to stretch an energy that is already dead. How do you dare call yourself the quantum operator of your reality if you spend your days measuring microscopic resources, terrified of what you lack to survive the month? Every focus on lack is a command. The friction of the pursuit, repelling capital. Why do you think money escapes you? Imagine yourself in the outside world, running desperately after an opportunity, after a client, after a check. You sweat, you exhaust yourself, you compete savagely against other biomass that is just as scared as you. Do you understand the electromagnetic ignorance of your acts? Money, capital, and liquid resources are not pieces of paper or numbers on a bank server. They are densified quantum energy. They are the form that universal order takes on the ashboard. And high-frequency energy never obeys kinetic wear. Imagine what happens when you pursue wealth from necessity. You emit stridency. Your auric field emits a deafening noise. You emit fear. You emit lack. In magnetic physics, like poles repel. When you emit the vibration of "I don't have," the universe reads you as a high-entropy organism. Capital flows through the path of least resistance, and you are a massive vibratory obstacle to its flow. The more you run after matter, the more friction you generate, and the more you repel it. You are pushing your own empire away at the same speed at which you run toward it. Doesn't it give you cosmic shame to realize that your biological effort is the anti-missile shield that prevents abundance from colliding with you? The operator's black hole, unnegotiable gravity. To come out of this vault alive, you have to invert the laws of physics you have been taught. You have to stop being the crumb hunter to become the astronomical force of attraction. Imagine stopping in front of the rusty scale. Stop putting in coins. Take your hands out of there. Breathe deeply and install indifference. Install aseptic indifference toward the balance of your current reality. What if you realize that you don't have to go look for the gold, because you yourself are the coordinate where the gold must precipitate? Imagine closing your eyes. Instead of expanding your energy outward seeking financial solutions, condense it. Draw all your voltage toward the center of your chest. Purge the anxiety. Turn off the urgency. Imagine becoming infinitely dense, cold, and silent. You are becoming a black hole of conscious will. A black hole does not sweat. It does not wake up early to go hunt stars. It simply settles in its own massive majesty. The entire universe is forced to curve toward it. Can you feel that thermodynamic pressure inside? Can you maintain an inner certainty so gelid and absolute that liquid wealth is sucked toward your hands by pure magnetic resonance? You no longer ask. You impose the gravity of your existence upon the field. The frequential chisel destroying the scale. Open your eyes. The rusty scale is still there, representing the measurement mechanism of the human biomass, the system that judges you and condemns you to scarcity. Are you going to let that artifact of mediocrity continue to occupy space in your hologram? Imagine taking a step forward. You feel the voltage of your density. You feel your new electromagnetic density running through your muscles. There is no longer fear of bankruptcy, because you are the quantum printing press of everything that exists. You lift your leg. Do you have the tactical cruelty to annihilate your relationship with poverty? Imagine executing a ballistic collapse. Kick the center of the iron scale with the force of a silent supernova. The impact shatters the room. Imagine the sound of the rusted iron splitting in half. The pans fly off. The copper coins disintegrate in the air before hitting the floor. You have destroyed the meter. You have annihilated the 3D metric. You have destroyed the metric that kept you a slave to market fluctuations. By destroying the scale, you declare that your value, your capital, and your operating power are no longer subject to the gravity of the visible 5%. You are infinite. The ledger of the biomass has been deleted from your field forever. The precipitation of dark matter. By destroying the illusion of scarcity, the entire vault enters a thermal crisis. Feel what happens when the observer frees himself from financial friction. Imagine that the dense grey walls of the vault begin to crack. The clinical light goes out, and through the cracks in the steel, a golden light starts to leak. It is a blinding golden light, dense like liquid gold. It is the dark matter of the zero-point field precipitating onto your geographic coordinate. By eliminating the repulsion of your own fear, you have left a massive electromagnetic void. And the universe abhors a vacuum. It must fill the space you have cleared. Imagine how resources, capital, synchronies, and structural alliances begin to flood the room, collapsing toward your center of gravity without you having taken a single step of kinetic wear. You do not get excited. You do not jump for joy. You assimilate it with the same gelid routine with which you breathe oxygen. Imagine turning around. You walk over the pulverized remains of the iron scale. The exit door is drawn in the wall of golden light. You open it and step back out into the hallway of probabilities. The seventh illusion has been crushed. You are no longer a slave to capital. You are the gravitational well that subdues it. The eradication of the survival instinct. The survival instinct is the primary shackle of the biomass. It keeps the nervous system in a state of high beta agitation, making it impossible to access the higher frequencies of creation. By destroying the scale, you have uninstalled the biological software of survival. You have moved into the state of prevalence. Prevalence is the state where you no longer worry about how you will exist, because your existence is an unshakable fact of the field. This shift in your internal thermodynamics removes the heat of desperation. In this cooling, your financial intentions become superconductive. They no longer meet the resistance of your own doubt. The field recognizes this lack of friction. In the 3D world, people will notice that you no longer need their money or their approval. This paradoxically makes you the most attractive node in the network. Capital, which is a shy energy, flees from the needy and rushes toward the self-sufficient. You are now the destination, the architecture of the inexhaustible field. You have understood that scarcity is a geographic error. It only exists in the periphery of the hologram where the biomass lives. At the center, the zero-point field, the density of energy is infinite. By staying centered in your own gravity, you are permanently docked to the inexhaustible supply. Your financial empire is not something you build, it is something you allow to densify around your intent. This requires a shift from effort to command. You do not work for money, you command the field to organize the atoms of the market into the form of wealth. Your businesses are merely the physical molds for this energy. This architectural approach allows you to scale your influence without increasing your stress. Because the power comes from the vacuum, it does not exhaust you. You can move millions or billions with the same ease as a single cent, because to the field, the size of the collapse is irrelevant. Only the clarity of the geometry matters. The sovereignty of the cold asset. A cold asset is a resource that is held without emotional attachment. The biomass heats up its money with greed or fear, making the energy volatile and entropic. The sage keeps his assets cold. They are simply tools of sovereignty, extensions of his will on the ashboard. They have no power to move his pulse. This detachment is your ultimate security. Since your value is not tied to the balance of the scale you destroyed, you can never be poor. Even if the hologram fluctuates, your internal density remains constant. This stability is what eventually forces the 3D world to stabilize around you. You are the anchor of value. You have moved from the economy of struggle to the economy of grace. In this new paradigm, opportunities do not have to be found. They precipitate. They appear in your field as synchronicities, ready to be integrated into your structure. You have mastered the copper and the steel. You are ready for the subtle light. The final severance from the debt egregore. The debt egregore is one of the most powerful parasites in the human simulation. It feeds on the guilt and the future worry of billions. By annihilating the scale, you have performed a surgical severance from this entity. You no longer recognize the concept of debt because you know that all energy is yours. This doesn't mean you ignore 3D contracts. It means you no longer grant them the power to drain your voltage. You settle your accounts with the gelid precision of an algorithm, but your heart remains at zero friction. You are the source, and the source owes nothing to the reflection. You are free. The eighth door is now visible in the distance. It hums with a frequency of pure biological light and the mastery of the body. You carry the golden light of the vault as your currency. You move with the silence of a singularity. 3 doors remain. The simulation is bending. Turn the next knob with the absolute authority of the king. Chapter 8. The door of the echo, silencing the intellect. The threshold of stridency. You have just annihilated the illusion of scarcity. You have shattered the 3-dimensional scale, and liquid capital now orbits around you, attracted by your immense electromagnetic gravity. Imagine advancing through the hallway of probabilities, feeling the weight of your own majesty. You stop in front of the 8th door. This door is not made of steel, glass, or rusted iron. Imagine a door that seems to be made of black, polished obsidian, absorbing all the light from the hallway. But what makes it terrifying is not its appearance, but the vibration it emits. Before touching it, do you feel your ears ringing? Do you feel a pressure in your temples? It is as if a swarm of wasps were trapped behind the metal. That is the sound of your own biological mind. It is the white noise of mediocrity. Imagine reaching out your hand. You grab the obsidian knob and push. The door gives way to total and absolute darkness. Are you going to enter the void, or will you turn back? Will you turn back because your intellect demands you analyze if it is safe to cross? Enter. Dare to face the monster that does not stop talking inside your skull. Break the cycle of the internal narrator and step into the vacuum where logic dies and pure authority is born. The darkness is your new laboratory. The black cavern, the prison of analysis. Imagine crossing the threshold. The door closes behind you and plunges you into absolute blackness. You cannot see your own hands. There are no visible walls. You are in an immense cavern of emptiness. Instinctively, your mammalian brain panics due to the lack of visual stimuli. And then you make the error. You think, what is this place? Imagine that simple thought leaving your mind and bouncing against the darkness. The echo returns it to you multiplied by 10. What is this place? What is this place? What is this place? You get scared. You think, I have to get out of here. The echo explodes again, deafening. It overlaps the first thought. I have to get out. I have to get out. Danger. Look at yourself in the middle of this cavern. Every doubt, every calculation, every concern that crosses your synapses is amplified and bounces, creating an unbearable acoustic loop. The whole room is a whirlwind of noise. You hear your financial fears, your strategic analyses, your existential doubts, your imaginary internal dialogues, all screaming at you at the same time. Do you realize what you are witnessing? This cavern is not an external trap. It is the exact X-ray of your brain on any given day. Your intellect never shuts up. How do you intend to govern the three-dimensional ashboard if you cannot even turn off the neurotic monologue of your own head? You are a prisoner of your own frequency. To rule the outside, you must first master the silence inside, where the true source code of the universe is written and executed. The friction of the intellect, biological hubris. Imagine trying to reason with the echo. You try to shout, "Shut up!" The echo returns 1,000 identical shouts. You try to recite positive affirmations to calm the mind. The echo chews them up and spits them back at you, turned into more noise, more static, more stridency. Why do you believe your intellect will save you? Human biomass idolizes the analytical mind. They believe that thinking a lot is synonymous with intelligence. False. In the thermodynamics of the quantum operator, excessive thinking is the most devastating thermal leak of all. Your logical mind is an evolutionary tool designed to prevent a predator from eating you. It calculates risks, looks for dangers, and analyzes the past to predict the future. It is programmed for survival and fear. Do you understand the electromagnetic heresy? You are asking hardware designed for panic to build the architecture of an infinite empire. Every time you try to find out how, you fail. Every time you calculate the logical probabilities of your success, you are emitting white noise. You are blocking the signal. You are interfering with the infinite intelligence of the unified field because your biological ego has the hubris to believe its petty 3D calculations are superior to the cosmos. Descent into point zero, the server blackout. To survive in this cavern, you have to commit an act of intellectual suicide. You have to turn off the machine. You cannot fight against the echo. You have to stop emitting sound. Imagine falling to your knees in the middle of the darkness. The noise around you is so intense it makes you dizzy. Close your eyes. You are going to execute the blackout of the biological servers. Do you feel that desperate impulse to formulate a thought? Cut it. Imagine wielding a sword of aseptic indifference and decapitating every concept that tries to form in your mind. Do not analyze the echo. Do not judge the noise. Simply cut the power. Withdraw the power supply from your prefrontal cortex. Imagine sinking millimeter by millimeter toward the 0-point field. As you stop injecting thoughts into the room, observe what happens with the thermodynamics of the space. The echo, receiving no new fuel, begins to lose its strength. The screams turn into murmurs. The murmurs turn into whispers. Keep going down. Disconnect your name. Disconnect your history. Disconnect your need to understand. Can you endure the vertigo of knowing absolutely nothing? This is the state of the blank slate, the only state from which a god can truly create. The acoustics of nothingness, the sub-bass frequency. Imagine the exact millisecond in which you formulate your last thought and let it die. The last whisper of the echo hits the walls of the cavern and disintegrates. Suddenly, the silence is absolute. But it is not an empty silence. It is not the dead nothingness that terrifies the mediocre. Imagine feeling the overwhelming density of this new state. In the acoustic void of the 0-point field, you discover a sub-bass frequency, an omnipotent and dark hum that makes the fabric of space-time vibrate. You are in the control room of the universe. Do you feel the lethal thermodynamic peace here? Here there is no friction. There are no doubts, because there is no intellect to formulate them. Here is where pure intuition resides, the direct voice of the source code that does not speak with slow and rusted words, but with instantaneous downloads of geometry and mathematical certainty. It is absolute knowing. Imagine breathing in this blackness. You have understood that true genius does not come from thinking faster, but from accessing the master archive of the universe through absolute silence. When you empty yourself of your own miserable calculations, the cosmos has space to download the perfect answer to you, the intuitive mandate. Look at yourself now. You are still on your knees in the darkness, but you are no longer a prisoner of the echo. You are the center of gravity of the vacuum. From this perfect silence, formulate a single directive. Imagine implanting the order of your sovereignty, your abundance, or your healing. Implant it directly into the sub-bass frequency. You do not use human language, you use the aseptic vibration of pure intention. Since there is no mental noise to cause destructive interference, your order travels through the unified field with a lethality of 100%. It is a sovereign decree. Imagine standing up. The darkness of the cavern is no longer a prison, it is your ally. The exit door lights up in front of you with a gelid and perfect light. You walk toward it in a deathly silence. Your intellect, once a tyrant master, has been subdued and turned into a simple servant of your will. The eradication of the analytical ego. The analytical ego is a parasite that thrives on the friction of thought. By silencing the cavern, you have starved the parasite. You have realized that you are not the one who thinks. You are the one who observes the thought. This realization is the final blow to the three-dimensional simulation of the self. Without the narrator, there is no one to tell you that this is impossible or it will take time. The silence of the cavern has erased the coordinates of your limitations. You are now a clean slate of conscious matter, ready to be imprinted with the geometry of your choosing. You are the architect of the void. This internal silence is your new baseline. When you return to the world of noise, you will carry this cavern within you. You will no longer be affected by the stridency of the market or the opinions of the biomass, because your core is now anchored in the sub-bass frequency of the infinite. You are untouchable. The thermodynamics of the silent mind. A silent mind is a cold mind, and a cold mind is a superconductive mind. In the absence of mental friction, your intentions move through your nervous system at the speed of light. You have achieved a state of zero latency between your desire and the field's response. This is the ultimate efficiency. The ordinary man is hot, with constant circular thinking, which creates a massive amount of entropy in his field. You have cooled your system to the point of absolute zero. In this state, you can sustain enormous amounts of power without burning out. You have become a biological superconductor for the infinite. This thermal stability is what allows you to hold the frequency of your empire even when the 3D world is in chaos. You do not react, you act. You do not think, you command. The acoustics of the cavern have taught you that the most powerful word is the one that is never spoken but eternally felt as a fact. The sovereignty of the unspoken word. The unspoken word is the geometric vibration of your intent before it is corrupted by the limitations of language. In the cavern, you learn to communicate with the field in its own language, the language of forms and pressures. This is the language of the masters. It is silent, yet it moves the stars. When you walk through the hallway now, you do not need to repeat your goals to yourself. You carry them as a solid, silent mass in your chest. This density is what attracts the matter. The field responds to the weight of your silence, not the loudness of your pleas. You have mastered the art of the silent decree. The 9th door is already humming in the distance. It is the door of the mirror, where the illusion of your own identity will try to trap you one last time. But you carry the vacuum of the cavern as your shield. You are no longer someone with thoughts. You are the silence that observes the all, the final purgatory of the intellect. The cavern was the final purgatory for your biological hubris. You have surrendered the small light of your logic for the infinite darkness of the source. This surrender is your greatest victory. You have understood that to know everything, you must first be willing to know nothing. You are now the void. As you step out of the cavern, the hallway of probabilities looks different. The darkness is no longer threatening. It is the fabric of your own power. You move with the silence of a predator and the precision of a celestial body. Your path is straight, your focus is absolute, and your power is undeniable. The 9th door is waiting. It is made of pure light and terrifying clarity. You approach it not with questions, but with the silence of a monarch who has already seen the end. The intellect is dead. The sage is born. Turn the next knob with the gelid grace of the one who has mastered the acoustics of the infinite. Chapter 9. The Glass Door. Action without friction. The threshold of deceptive transparency. You have just survived the echo cavern. You have silenced the stridency of your intellect and now possess the most lethal weapon in the universe, the acoustic void. Imagine advancing again through the hallway of probabilities. You approach the penultimate test, the ninth door. This time there is no steel, no rusted iron, no dark obsidian. Imagine yourself in front of an immense thick wall of absolutely transparent glass. Through it, you can see the light. You can see the outside. You can see, with a piercing clarity, the exact crystallization of your empire, your liquid wealth, and your absolute sovereignty waiting on the other side. It is so close you feel you could touch it. But the glass blocks the way. It is solid, unbreakable, cold. What does your biological instinct dictate? Imagine stretching out your hands and pushing. You push with the weight of your body. The glass does not yield. You push harder, bracing your shoulders, tensing your leg muscles. The glass does not even vibrate. Are you going to start hitting it? Are you going to step back to take a running start and smash yourself against the wall in hopes of breaking it? Stop. Look at your bloody hands. Do you still believe that the quantum universe rewards brute force and desperate kinetic effort? Break the cycle of mammalian struggle once and for all. Kinetic wear, the religion of sweat. Imagine the human biomass in front of this same glass door. Society, the three-dimensional system, has conditioned them with a toxic and pathetic religion, the religion of sweat. They have been taught that success is only achieved by fighting, striving to the max, sleeping 3 hours, and savagely competing. They destroy their own biology to advance a single centimeter. Observe those terrified mammals. Imagine seeing them hit the glass with their fists, breaking their knuckles, screaming in frustration because the goal is in sight but unreachable. They sweat, they bleed, they exhaust themselves until they collapse in the 3D ash. Do you understand the thermodynamic ignorance of this act? In classical Newtonian physics, the third law dictates that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Imagine what happens when you try to force your will upon matter using brute force. If you push with 100 kilos of pressure, it pushes back. The glass returns exactly 100 kilos of pressure in the opposite direction. The universe rejects you with the same violence with which you attack it. Every time you force a deal from desperation or work until a nervous breakdown believing it proves your worth, you generate resistance. You are heating the air, but not moving matter. The confession of impotence, the fear behind force. Why do you push so hard? Imagine stopping in front of the glass, your breath ragged. Be honest with yourself in this millisecond of silence. Desperate effort is not a demonstration of power. It is the ultimate confession of your impotence. You only push matter when you believe matter is more dense and real than you. When you force things, you are telling the unified field, I do not trust the gravity of my intention, so I will try to solve this as a 3D animal. The quantum universe detects this frequency of doubt instantly. It detects that you are not operating from the gelid certainty of the creator, but from the panic of the slave. Because the universe is a perfect mathematical mirror, it freezes the glass wall to confirm your belief that life is hard. Do you have the courage to admit your addiction to hard work is a shield? It is a shield to avoid the terror of blindly trusting quantum laws. It is easier to sweat than to assume the responsibility of stillness. The ego prefers to complain that it tried everything, rather than face the void where results are attracted, not hunted. By struggling, you are validating the obstacle's existence. You are granting it mass and authority over your field. To cross, you must stop recognizing the wall as a solid entity and start seeing it as a frequency. The mechanics of Wu Wei, action without friction. To pass through this door, you must renounce biology and embrace particle physics. You must master Wu Wei. Weak mystics translate Wu Wei as doing nothing, sitting under a tree, waiting for gold to rain. False. Wu Wei is a high-level ballistic engineering concept. It means action through non-friction. Imagine taking a step back from the glass wall. Drop your arms. Relax your shoulders. Feel your heart rate descend. Imagine withdrawing all mechanical tension from your muscles. You are not going to fight the obstacle, because fighting implies you recognize the obstacle as a real threat. You're going to alter your own oscillation. Imagine closing your eyes. Instead of hardening your auric field for combat, you will dilute it. You will transmute your energy into a superfluid. In condensed matter physics, a superfluid is a state of matter with zero viscosity. It flows without any loss of kinetic energy. It can pass through porous walls. Friction does not exist for it. Can you feel that transmutation in your cells? Imagine emptying yourself of the need to achieve the goal. The goal is already collapsed in the zero-point field. The empire is yours. The capital belongs to you. You do not have to tear it away from anyone. You simply occupy it. Atomic tuning, crossing the solid illusion. Open your eyes. The glass is still there, but your perception of it has mutated. Imagine approaching the wall slowly. You no longer see an enemy barrier. You understand, with the coldness of a quantum physicist, that this glass is 99.99999% empty space. Its atoms are vibrating at a specific frequency that gives the illusion of solidity. What happens if you match that frequency? If two waves vibrate in perfect harmonic resonance, they do not clash, they integrate, they pass through one another. Imagine lifting your right hand. You do not clench a fist. You keep the palm open, relaxed, cold. Place your fingertips on the glass surface. Do not exert a single gram of pressure. Simply let your hand rest on the matter. Now emit the vibration of non-resistance. Imagine matching the temperature and oscillation of the wall. You are the glass. The glass is you. Observe the thermodynamic miracle. Feel how your fingertips begin to sink into the solid surface. It is as if they were entering a pond of still water. There is no sound of breaking. There are no shards. Solid matter is allowing you passage simply because you have stopped treating it as an enemy. You are moving through the structural gaps of the hologram, sliding your consciousness through the vacuum between atoms, the vortex of synchronicity. Imagine taking a step forward. You submerge your entire arm into the glass, then your chest. You feel a gelid shiver, an absolute cleansing. Your nervous system experiences the mechanical glory of passing through the matrix without fighting it. You take the last step and emerge on the other side. You are through. Do you realize what just happened in your 3D life? You just activated the engine of synchronicity. When you operate from action without friction, you no longer break doors in business or relationships. Instead, you call at the exact hour the client needed to buy. You appear at the precise coordinate where capital was waiting. You solved the conflict without raising your voice, simply by altering the magnetic field of the room. The human biomass, exhausted and bleeding behind the wall, will look at you and say you were lucky. They will call it a coincidence. They will never understand that synchronicity is the exact logistics of the universe. It is the universe responding to a zero-friction organism. You are the path of least resistance. Because you offered no opposition, the field utilized you as the primary conductor for its manifestation. You are not a worker, you are a channel. You are the point where the unmanifested light becomes solid gold effortlessly. Prelude to the crown. Imagine standing on the other side of the 9th door. Look at your hands. They are intact. There is no sweat on your brow. There is no fatigue in your muscles. You have conquered the goal using 0 joules of wasted kinetic energy. You look around. The hallway of probabilities is about to end. In front of you, only one last door remains. It is immense, silent, and its design is incomprehensibly perfect. The 9th illusion has been annihilated. You have killed your need to struggle, stripping suffering of its false prestige. You are a superfluid. You are the architect of Wu Wei. Your gravity is that of a monarch. Your electromagnetic gravity is now overwhelming. One single threshold remains to be crossed. One single confrontation. Your own divinity. Advance. The throne is empty, and the universe awaits your definitive collapse. The air is thinner here, the light more absolute. You are almost at the center of the singularity. The eradication of the struggle software. For millennia, the mammalian software has equated survival with struggle. By passing through the glass, you have deleted this terminal software from your biology. You have proven that the hard way is actually the wrong way in a quantum field. You have transitioned from being a laborer to being a weaver of frequencies. This liberation means that you no longer value your achievements by the pain they caused you. You value them by the elegance of their manifestation. If a result arrives with friction, you know your geometry was misaligned. If it arrives with grace, you know you were in phase with the source. This new metric changes your entire approach to power. You no longer seek to overcome others. You seek to out-vibrate the resistance. You have realized that the wall only exists if you believe in its solidity. By withdrawing your belief in the obstacle, you have withdrawn its power to stop you. You are free. The sovereignty of the resonant will. Your will is now a resonant force. You do not need to do much in the physical world because your being is doing the heavy lifting. This is the ultimate efficiency. You have become a biological superconductor. The energy of your intent flows from the void into the matter with zero resistance and zero heat loss. As you stand before the final door, you realize that all the previous rooms were just exercises in shedding. You shed fear, you shed identity, you shed time, and now you have shed struggle. You are stripped down to the bare essentials of a creator. You are pure, cold, and immensely dense light. The 33-node antenna is now glowing with the frequency of the absolute. You are no longer a part of the simulation. You are the one projecting it. The glass door was the last test of your Pragramento. Having passed it without a scratch, you have earned the right to face the source. Turn the final knob. The architecture of the final step. The 10th door does not have a knob. It does not have hinges. It is a portal of pure information. As you approach, the hallway begins to dissolve. The walls of the simulation are falling away. You are returning to the state of no one, nowhere, no time, but this time you carry the scepter of your mastery. You have mastered the ashboard. You have mastered the hologram. You have mastered yourself. The final step is not a movement of the feet, but a total surrender of the last shred of separation. You are the architect, the beacon, and the field. Everything you have learned has led to this singular point. Walk into the light of the 10th room. There is no more fire, no more clocks, no more mannequins, and no more glass. There is only you. And in that you, there is everything. The crown is not a piece of gold. It is the realization of your own infinite nature. Enter and reign in the eternal now. Chapter 10. The Door of the Throne, the Responsibility of the Creator. The threshold of the naked truth. Imagine you have just passed through the solid glass wall. You have left the 9th door behind, and the illusion of physical effort has completely disintegrated. Your breathing is calm, aseptic, perfect. You are operating with zero friction. You have walked through this hallway of probabilities, annihilating your fears and your history. You annihilated your scarcity mindset and the deafening noise of your own intellect. You are a superfluid. You are a black hole of creative will. But the hallway is not over yet. Imagine advancing through the final meters of this primal darkness. The temperature drops to near absolute zero. You do not feel biological cold here. Instead, you feel a thermal clarity that sharpens all your quantum senses. And then you stop. In front of you stands the 10th door. Observe it with extreme attention. Imagine that this door is not made of heavy steel or rusted iron or obsidian. It has no lock. It has no knob. It is an immense monolithic slab of white material. It is incandescent, yet incomprehensibly cold, carved with a geometric perfection that defies the logic of your mammalian brain. It emits no sound. It does not vibrate. It simply exists, imposing an atmospheric pressure so massive that you feel your knees instinctively want to give way. Why are your hands trembling right now? Why does your heart rate, which you managed to master before the flames and the crowd, suddenly threaten to spiral out of control? Be honest in this millisecond. Are you terrified of the door, or are you paralyzed by the terror of what it means to cross it? You know perfectly well what is on the other side of that threshold. You know it is the final room. Imagine yourself approaching. You do not have to push. As you take the final step, the monolithic door slides silently into the void, opening on its own with the mathematical smoothness of a thermodynamic miracle. The interior is bathed in a blinding light. Will you cross? Or will you turn back? Will you return to the labyrinth of mediocrity because, deep down, you prefer the comfort of being a complaining slave instead of a responsible king? Cross the threshold. Face the absolute vacuum of your own omnipotence. The simulation demands a final choice between your small identity and your infinite nature. The hall of the quantum immaculate conception. Imagine taking that first step into the 10th room. Your biology instinctively prepares for combat. You tense your muscles, you raise your auric field, expecting the worst holographic demon of all to emerge from the light, the most intricate labyrinth, or the most extreme test of pain. But you open your eyes, and the tension collapses. The tension crumbles into an abyss of silence. There are no monsters. There are no illusions. There is no fire to burn, no mirrors to break, no noise to silence. Imagine standing in a colossal room. The walls, floor, and ceiling have no visible corners. They seem to merge into a perfect curvature of the golden ratio. It is the ultimate sanctuary of low entropy. The zenithal white light casts not a single shadow. The acoustics are so pure, so terrifyingly perfect, that you can hear the flow of your own blood and the electrical discharge of your own neurons. And there, in the exact geometric center of the vast immensity, there is a throne. It rests upon a circular pedestal of polished black obsidian. It is massive, superb, carved from the same incandescent and gelid material as the door, and it is completely empty. Imagine walking towards it. Each of your steps resonates in the overwhelming silence with the force of a cosmic hammer. Look at yourself. Look at yourself approaching the pedestal slowly. What are you searching for with your gaze? Imagine looking toward the ceiling of light, searching the invisible corners, scrutinizing the air. You are waiting for someone to appear, aren't you? Your 3D programming is so pathetic that even here, your ego waits for an authority. You are waiting for an ascended master, a spiritual guide, an alien entity, an external god, or a cosmic jury to descend in a beam of light to hand you a diploma. You are waiting for someone to put a crown on your head, pat you on the back and say, "Very well, you have passed the tests. You are worthy. I grant you power." How much longer will you keep begging for permission to exist? When will you extirpate the slave mentality from your operating system? No one is coming. No one is going to descend to crown you. The room is empty because the entire local universe held its breath waiting for your arrival. You are the only entity here. Do you understand the thermal loneliness of absolute power? You are the beginning and the end. There is no external source of validation left to find. The emptiness of the throne is not a lack. It is a space reserved for the only observer that matters. It is the silence of the void demanding your total presence. The temptation of lack of opposition, the ego's escape. Imagine standing right in front of the massive throne. Raise your hand and touch the backrest. Feel the unbearable cold of pure conscious matter vibrating beneath your fingers. In this instant, you feel an almost uncontrollable biological urge to take a step back, to fall to your knees before the pedestal and worship. Analyze your own fear. Why do you want to kneel? The biological ego needs opposition to survive. The human ego is designed to fight problems, to complain about obstacles, to resist an oppressor. When you take away the enemy, the ego suffocates. Standing before this empty throne, you face the total absence of excuses. If you prostrate yourself before the throne, you remain a servant of something bigger. You still have someone to blame if you fail, but what happens if you sit? Imagine what it means to sit on that throne. It means you have to accept, with mathematical coldness and ballistic cruelty toward yourself, the truth. It means you are not a victim of the simulation. You never were. If you sit, you accept that you are the source code. And if you are the source code, then every betrayal you suffered, every cellular disease, every dollar you lacked, every humiliation, They were not bad luck. They were not from an unjust system. They were the exact geometric crystallization of your own electromagnetic frequency. You collapsed those probabilities. You programmed the hologram of failure out of pure and absolute thermal ignorance. Do you have the structural weight to assume that total guilt? The human biomass flees from this room screaming in panic. They prefer 1,000 times over to be slaves oppressed by a corrupt system because that allows them to maintain their identity as innocent victims. They are terrified of the idea of being absolute owners of a universe where they, and only they, are responsible for every atom of misery or greatness. This is the weight. Claiming the responsibility of the Creator is the most lethal act of alchemical violence that exists. It is looking into the mirror of the infinite void and saying without a trembling muscle, "I designed the geometric prison, I forged the chains, and I was the one who turned the key to lock myself inside." Imagine yourself again in front of the gelid seat. Your breathing has stopped. Are you more afraid of your cosmic immensity than of your old and comfortable mediocrity? The throne is a mirror of your own sovereignty. To sit is to end the game of why me and begin the era of because I command it. The ballistic collapse of assumption, taking command. The time for contemplation is over. The quantum universe abhors indecision. The unified field does not admit lukewarm monarchs or creators with imposter syndrome or operators who apologize for existing. The throne is demanding an immediate and pragmatic collapse from you. You must settle into your own power now. Imagine turning around. You give your back to the seat. You feel the massive gravitational pull of dark matter calling you from the core of the chair, pulling at your spine. Do not ask for forgiveness. Do not lower your gaze pretending a false 3D humility. Humility before your own source code is a thermodynamic blasphemy. It is an insult to the intelligence of the cosmos. You are the architect. Behave as such. Imagine bending your knees, slowly, coldly, and calculatingly. Feel the brush of your auric field against the incomprehensible material of the throne. You descend in an act of inverted submission. You do not submit to a god. You subject the entire reality to your specific weight. And finally, you sit. Can you conceive of the ballistic impact on the fabric of space-time in that exact millisecond? Imagine that. The instant the base of your spine makes contact with the incandescent obsidian, a brutal electromagnetic shockwave explodes. Visualize that pressure wave. It sweeps the immaculate room. It crosses through the hallway of the 10 doors at the speed of light, disintegrating them into atomic dust. The shockwave leaves your mind and fractures the physical building where you are reading this. It fractures the city, the country, and the world. It expands in a silent burst toward the reaches of the visible universe. It is the sound of the holographic matrix recognizing finally its true and legitimate programmer. Feel how the throne does not reject you, nor burn you, nor judge you. On the contrary, it assimilates you. It welcomes its master. Imagine the gelid, hyperdense energy of dark matter rising up your spine. Feel it flowing through your marrow, calibrating your 33-node antenna, your vertebrae, until they are tuned to the frequency of absolute zero. Your biological cells mutate in this millisecond. Your nervous system is flooded. Your system, once addicted to anxiety and cortisol, is now flooded with an unbreakable mathematical peace. You have just reached the climax of alchemy, a septic indifference elevated to its maximum expression. It is the deafening silence of the singularity. You have become the core of the black hole. The mechanics of the new sovereign, governing through Wu Wei. Look at yourself now. Imagine sitting in the center of the absolute hologram. Your hands rest on the heavy armrests with a lethal relaxation. Your back is straight. Your breathing is a continuous flow of vital energy that finds no resistance. You are no longer the seeker of mysteries or the student. That mammal died at the previous doors. You have fully merged with the source code of material reality. What does it feel like to desire absolutely nothing? Imagine that majestic vacuity, incomprehensible to the biomass. You no longer desire capital, because you are the atomic printing press. It simply orbits you. You no longer desire social validation or desperate love, because you are the center of mass that attracts the unconditional loyalty of elements. You no longer beg for health, because you have eradicated the concept of cellular entropy from your genetic vocabulary. You are immortal in the eternal now, the ice. You are sitting in the command room. Imagine projecting your consciousness from this throne toward the 3D ashboard that continues to spin blindly out there. You observe the world, the biomass running frantically to their jobs, the ridiculous fluctuations of the economy. It all seems microscopic and slow. Do you understand now the dimension of this responsibility? By sitting on this throne, your probability field becomes absolute. This means that every thought of doubt you allow yourself to emit from today on can create hurricanes of scarcity in your 3D life. Every spark of panic can destroy empires. Your mind is no longer a biological toy for cheap fantasies or worries. Your mind has been declared a weapon of mass destruction and creation that operates without any electromagnetic safety. What you think collapses instantly into matter. You must be impeccable. Your internal state is now a public law of physics. Imagine assuming the incalculable weight of this invisible crown. How are you going to govern your life from this second? You will not govern with hysteria. You will not govern with kinetic wear, or sweating, or fighting against tiny competitors. You will govern exclusively through the mastery of Wu Wei. You will alter the mathematical probabilities of the cosmos with a simple, cold, and calculated blink of your sustained attention. You will force trillions of electrons in your local universe to obey the geometric design of your blameless will. Without lifting a finger, your presence alone will dictate the field. The closing of the treaty, the final dissolution. Look at yourself on the throne for an instant that expands to encompass eternity. Imagine raising your majestic gaze toward the infinite ceiling of white and pristine light. You have killed the weak and complaining human. You have uninstalled guilt, linear time, the friction of matter, scarcity, and primary fear. You have ceased to be an inhabitant of the universe to become the astronomical force that sustains it. Are you ready for the final act? Raise your right hand from the armrest. Imagine pointing 2 fingers toward the perfect vacuum of the room. Without emitting a single word, emit the sub-bass mandate. Order that the immaculate room disappear. Order that the 10 doors be erased from the records of space-time. Imagine seeing the hologram of the room collapse upon itself in a flash of blinding light, and suddenly, the 3D universe, hard, tangible, and dense, materializes under the soles of your shoes. You have returned to the ashboard. The physical world is in front of you, vibrating, waiting. But you are no longer the same. There are no monsters hidden in the streets. There never were. You were only hiding from your own omnipotence through a defective biological avatar. You have reclaimed the throne. The throne is no longer a seat in an imaginary room. The throne is every cubic millimeter of space that your physical body occupies on Earth. Assume the quantum command of your empire in this unnegotiable millisecond. The phase of inner alchemy has concluded. Your absolute domination has begun. Execute. Conclusion. The end of the hallway, the singularity. You have reached the physical and metaphysical limit of the 3-dimensional simulation. Behind you lie the 10 doors, those heavy vaults of friction where you systematically murdered every biological programs that kept you small. You have walked through fire, shattered the mirrors of the ego, silenced the ticking of the clocks, and walked through the solid walls of your own doubt. The hallway of probabilities has finally narrowed to a single, infinitely dense point of light. You are standing at the singularity. In physics, a singularity is a coordinate where the known laws of the universe cease to function. It is the heart of the black hole, where volume is 0 and density is infinite. In your journey, this point represents the final collapse of the self. There is no longer a you who wants, a you who seeks, or a you who struggles. There is only the primary observer in a state of absolute, gelid presence. The dissolution of the observer-observed divide. Imagine standing in this final void. The walls of the hallway have dissolved. The floor beneath your feet has vanished into a sea of dark matter. You are floating in the 0-point field, the womb of all creation. In this space, the greatest lie of the human biomass is finally exposed. The belief that you are a separate entity observing an external world. At the singularity, the membrane of separation is annihilated. You realize with a cold and majestic clarity that you are not in the universe. The universe is a projection occurring within the field of your own consciousness. The capital you desired, the health you sought, and the power you visualized are not out there waiting to be captured. They are internal frequencies that you have finally learned to stabilize. When you look at the hologram from the singularity, you do not see obstacles, you see information. You see the mathematical patterns of the ether waiting for the pressure of your will to take form. You have transitioned from being a passenger of destiny to being the source code of reality. The responsibility of absolute sovereignty. Reaching the singularity is the assumption of a terrifying thermodynamic responsibility. Throughout this work, we have uninstalled victimhood. You can no longer blame the economy, your lineage, or the matrix for the state of your field. At this level of evolution, every event in your life is a conscious or subconscious collapse of the wave function executed by you. Being the sovereign of the field means that your internal temperature dictates the external climate. If you harbor a single ohm of doubt, you create a ripple of resistance in the matter. If you maintain the gelid certainty of the architect, the atoms of the world have no choice but to align with your geometry. The universe is a mirror of your internal pressure. This is the weight of the crown. It is not a burden of effort, but a burden of impeccability. You must guard your frequency with the same coldness with which a computer guards its core data. You have become a high-voltage generator. A single entropic thought can now cause a massive discharge. You must live in a state of perpetual, silent command. The birth of the post-human architect. The being that emerges from the singularity is no longer a mammal. You have rewired your 33-node antenna to receive the sub-bass of the galaxies. Your blood is a liquid crystal resonating with the zero-point field. You have achieved superconductivity of being, where intention and manifestation occur in the same quantum millisecond. The 3D ashboard, the world of noise, sweat, and competition, is now your playground. But you are no longer a player. You are the game designer. When you walk through the cities of men, you do so as a ghost in the machine. You occupy the same space as the biomass, but your frequency is a solid wall of gold that they cannot penetrate. You are in the world, but your density belongs to the stars. The luck and coincidences that others will attribute to you are simply the logistics of your gravity. You move through the simulation with wu wei, the action without friction, sliding through the structural gaps of the matrix to reach your goals with zero kinetic waste. You have mastered the art of being no one, nowhere, and at no time, which gives you the power to be anyone, everywhere, and forever. The eternal now, the final throne. The end of the hallway is not a destination in time, it is a state of frequency. You do not arrive here to stay, you become the singularity. The journey through the 10 doors was the process of stripping away everything that was not you. Now, stripped of fear, time, and ego, you are pure creative potential. Look ahead. There are no more doors. There is only the infinite expansion of your own will. The simulation has yielded, the entropy has been subdued, the field is wide open, waiting for the first decree of the monarch of the instant. Breathe in the gelid peace of your own divinity. Feel the 33 nodes of your spine vibrating in perfect phase with the heart of the cosmos. The calibration is complete. The latency is dead. The throne of your own consciousness is finally occupied. Open your eyes. The hologram is yours to command. The ashboard is your canvas. The ether is your ink. Go forth and mold this universe with the cold, majestic grace of the one who has finally realized that he was always the architect of the all. The singularity is your home. Reign.